Hi everyone, Bandanner here. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope everyone who is celebrating Christmas had a fantastic time. I hope you got all the goodies you wanted and ate, drank, and were very merry. I ate and drank far too much, probably. But never mind. Today we are back in WARNO League Season 0.5 from SDL with Mix and Toff for their third game. Mix has won the previous two, so if Mix takes this one, he goes through to the finals, and he will be playing against T-Man, and Toff will go through to the decider against Dark Neutron for place 3. However, if Toff wins today, we will go on to a 4th and potentially 5th game. Today, Mix will be playing as the 11th E, and Toff will be playing as the 1st British Armoured, and they are playing on Black Forest Duel. Mix playing as the 11th E. It's a deck we don't see a huge amount in the tournaments. T-Man has played them before and has now sworn he will never play them again after having a nasty loss against Bulba. I believe Bulba was playing as the 4th in that game, if I'm not mistaken. So, 11th E. They're a funny old division. They are definitely a proper airborne division. Let's have a little look through. So we got the Puma Kangaroo, the VLA Logistics, and then a VBL PC and a P4 PC. So 2 commands here. Now this is one of those decks where realistically you're probably going to take more commands here because you don't have any tank tab. It's still called a tank tab. I don't know why it's called a tank tab. It is not a tank tab. I think this deck should just have other vehicles tab rather than a tank tab. But it's just a name, I guess. Infantry-wise, Legionnaires Paras times 2, Chasseurs Paras times 2, Group A Anti-Char Paras, the Sapu's Flam, also Paras, the Aeromobiles times 2 in Super Pumas, and then the Command Sapu's Para, and then the Milan 2 Para. Lots of forward deployment, obviously that is the mainstay of this division, and then the Aeromobiles coming in the Super Puma later on. Artillery-wise, just the 105mm howitzer, nothing fancy there. Tank tab, it's not a tank. I'm sorry to the French. The ERC-90 is not a tank. The AMX-10RC is more of a tank than this thing is. You don't get that in this deck, weirdly. But ERC-90s, obviously, they are there doing something. They've got wheels, they're pretty fast. However, the Milan Paras, very nice choice, obviously great at long range, outrange tanks, and generally can scare away a lot of vehicles if you have a few of them piled up. Recon, AML 90 Lynx, the VBL Milan, the Paras SAS in the VLRA 50 cal, and then the Paras SAS in just a VLRA, and then finally the Gazelle Cannon. Lots of recon options here. Good thing, bad thing, hard to say. At least the Paras SAS are kind of like an infantry squad on their own, so they kind of bolster what you've already got above. So, in that sense, it's not a bad deck. You have a lot of infantry choice. Anti-air is a different matter entirely. I don't know how you guys feel, and do let me know in the comments. I am curious. For me, 11V probably has the worst anti-air tab in the game. Because your fallback really are the Mistral Paras, and you get 4 of the damn things. And then you get the VLRA Pamela, which is nothing fancy, obviously, and you only get 3 of them. And after that, you've just got some 20mm cannons. And don't get me wrong, the 20mm cannons are great. The one that goes in the building is fantastic. And the other one can be forward deployed on the back of the truck. But really, the mainstay are the Mistral. Your AA net is garbage. You are reliant on your aircraft. And if you lose those aircraft and your opponent has good aircraft, then you can get very quickly overwhelmed because what you have on the ground is not going to suffice. They may change that, I don't know, but that's one area of this deck that's not great. Helicopters, you've got the Gazelle Hot 2, the Gazelle Cannon, and the Puma Pirate. They're alright, they're good for swarming. So if you get in a position where there's not too much AA, and you know, you can maneuver them separately and not on top of each other, because if the Gazelle cannons get hit and they're all on top of each other, one missile will kill a few of them because of the AoE. But they're good for swarming and killing stuff that way. Air tab is very important, obviously, for the 11th E. You've got the Jaguar C, you got the Jaguar HE, you got Jaguar Cluster, you got the Mirage Laser Guided Bomber, then you got the Mirage 200 times 2 here, and then the Mirage 2000. I mean, so important, the Mirage 200 and the Mirage 2000. You want to keep these things alive at all costs, and you want to make sure you're calling them out at the right time, because your ground AA is not going to do a lot. And obviously there's even less AA than I would bring in my deck. I think I would take another card here of just some of the 20mm cannons. So Mix is going to have to rely heavily on the aircraft, and I'm curious if we see that this game. It depends obviously on what the opponent does, but if you can overwhelm in the air, 11th E are in trouble. Let's have a look at the deck of Toff. So he's playing as the first British Armoured. Bit of a more standardised deck, I feel. Everyone kind of brings the same stuff here with little variations. So the Rover Command, as we would expect, you get 3 of them, pretty standard. 2 sets of Bedford trucks in the Chinook supply. Again, we've seen this a few times. Infantry, you got the Terrier's Powers with Carl Gustav that are forward deployable. Obviously, quite handy. There's no forward deployable AA to go with them other than jets, so they're kind of on their own if they're out in front. The Assault Pioneers, then you've got arm rifles in the Warrior Milans, 2 cards of those, 2 cards of rifles, and then 1 Milan 1 card. Now, do note here, everything is obviously ranked down to trained, so they're not going to be the best infantry. They're going to panic pretty quickly, so it's something to be aware of. Artillery, you got the M1 and 9s here. Great artillery piece. Then in the tank tab, we've got the Challenger Mark II, 2 cards of. The Chieftain Mark 11 Command Tank, 2 cards of. 2 cards of Chieftain Mark 11s, 1 of the Chieftain Mark 9, and 1 of the Rover Milan Para. Again, a little bit of forward deployable anti-tank stuff there. Not necessarily used very much at the start of a game, I would have thought, to be honest. They seem to come out later usually. No Challenger Mark III here. It's kind of hit and miss with the Challenger Mark III. Not everyone takes it. I don't know if it's a good enough improvement over the Challenger Mark II to make it worth taking. Yes, the ERA is nice, and the extra 2 points of health are very nice, but you're getting 1 per card instead of 2, and then you've got less tanks, and this kind of setup's pretty nice. I might go for more challenges, I don't know, but this setup in general is pretty good. Recon, you got the Scouts Law 80, you got the SAS Patrol, the Gazelle, and the Fox. Good spread, nothing too exciting. Scouts Law 80 in the Lynx is quite interesting though. Curious if they're called in very much. Obviously a little bit faster response perhaps. Then in the anti-air tab, the Javelin AML, the mainstay of any British division in this game at the moment. They are very good. You know, Tracked Rapier ×2, again, very good unit. There's no long-range radar AA in the first Armoured. Helicopter, you got the Gazelle rockets and the Hell Arm. Hell Arms are great if they're used carefully and you get a bit of luck with them hitting. Gazelle rockets, again, a little bit of swarm tactics, can defend against infantry and clear stuff up, but got to be careful with them. If they're all bunched up and they get hit by a missile, they're all going down in one go. Air tab, Tornado F3 ×2. Pretty standard to have both cards of those. You got the Harrier cluster, the Jaguar HE bomber, and the Tornado HE. Again, very standard. Quite often we're seeing this kind of setup with the aircraft as well. So there we go. 2 decks, 2 very different decks. I mean, they are probably very much 2 extremes. One that's very forward deployment and infantry heavy, and one that is very not forward deployment and very tank heavy. So this will be an interesting matchup because they have different strengths on this map in particular, and I think we'll get into the game and I'll talk about that there actually. Okay, welcome to the map. Let's have a quick look at what these guys have down, then I'll talk a little bit about the map. Because for me, there are parts of this map that really lean into Mix, and there are parts of this map that really lean into Toff in terms of capability and strength. And it really depends how both of these guys play. Let's have a look at what Mix has down first, because you don't see the 11th a lot, and I like to see what they've got going for them. So, Chasseurs Paras, one going in here, one's pushing around the back. And then over at this side, we've got some Legionnaires Paras, a Command Para, and some Paras SAS. The Command obviously going over here, deploying, and then we'll go elsewhere. And then we've got one squad coming over here, and the other squad's going into Bravo area. Then we've got, okay, Aeromobiles and Super Pumas, and some Gazelle Cannons. Yeah, this is what I was wondering about. So all going fast into Alpha. Over here, Chasseurs Paras just to cover in that building there to protect that side, and then Aeromobiles pushing up to Foxtrot. Oh, that's quite clever. So a little bit of harassment and distraction. I don't think he expects them to live. I think that is purely to try and get there and slow down Toph. That's quite cheeky. I like that. And here, trying to get into Alpha before Toph does. So, if these two players have been the opposite side of the map, so Mix is obviously over on the right, Toph's on the left here. If Mix had been on the left-hand side, I mean, he would have been in Alpha, and I think he would have just gone heavy into these two and possibly sent harassment to Bravo, because I think he has a good chance of locking these three down. Because that's really where the infantry will come in. Whereas over this side, the tanks should rule. But, doesn't mean they definitely will. But that's the power of the tanks over this side. They can control this open ground. Let's have a look at what Toph's got down. So, we got the Terriers Paras and the SAS Patrol, which are, okay, pretty... This will be interesting because obviously Toph doesn't know that this is going to happen. He doesn't know those helicopters are coming in and dropping off a lot in Alpha. So Toph's kind of spreading out a bit and going for Bravo as well. Foxes here, which are going to spread themselves about and try and get around back lines and things. I suspect they're going to get spotted by helicopters. There's a Fox over here, which is going up to this point, just in that little tree line. Then we've got some Terriers Paras and SAS Patrol, again spreading out around Foxtrot. As I say, those Aeromobiles that are coming to Foxtrot are going to be in trouble, but they will harass and cause issues. Command here going to Echo, and then we'll be going over to Foxtrot. We've got two Gazelle rockets going up to Foxtrot. Again, the Aeromobiles are not going to stand a chance. It could be that those Aeromobiles get diverted before they reach Foxtrot. We'll see how much attention Mix is paying. The Javelin LML here is going up into Foxtrot. Big spread at the back here. We've got some, all kind of spread out. So we've got some Gazelles which are heading up there. That will help against the Aeromobiles that are coming in there. We've got a Chieftain Mark 11 and a Tracked Rapier, which are also going up to this kind of area in the middle there. And then we've got a bunch of infantry. So we've got Assault Pioneers, we've got Javelin LMLs and Arm Rifles. The majority of which are heading to Alpha, and then you've just got some kind of covering the back of Charlie. Sensible here of Toph, don't even bother trying to contest Charlie. You're going to get overwhelmed by Paras. It's not worth it. Let's get the show on the road. But yeah, this will be an interesting fight. I'm really curious how these two play this. Obviously, in terms of aircraft, when I said 11th E, if you could take control of the skies and take out their aircraft, then, you know, you will have complete air superiority and dominate. British 1st Armoured probably aren't the division to do that with, unless you get lucky killing the Mirages, and immediately, obviously, 2 Mirages out, wanting to help protect these Aeromobiles and deal with any Gazelles. Both players capping the back points there. There goes some Gazelles. Yeah, you see what I was saying about them being close to each other? That one missile that hit the other one and killed it did so much damage to that one as well. And this one obviously went down over this side from the guns. Tornado coming in. There's a Mirage 2000 in as well. This is not good for Toph already. He's just unfortunately taken one. The Gazelle cannon went down, but that was not good. He sent in one jet against 2, and then the third came out as well. Aeromobiles are going to land here still by the looks of it. Aeromobiles coming in here. The Gazelle goes down. So as I say, great harassment here. Slows down Toff massively. Here, I think Toff will eventually overwhelm. You notice he didn't actually get to here where he sent those units to this little tree line. But at the moment, air superiority to Mix means that he's doing strafing runs with these jets. These javelins will try to get hits on these Mirages. But again, they are a bit limited, the 1st British, because they don't have any radar AA. So there we go. We've got another tornado coming in on its own. That took a nasty hit. I mean, there's every chance Toff could take control of the skies, but he needs to be careful with those units. These aeromobiles, by the way, are up to elite status, so they're fully ranked up, and they are obviously making short work of these infantry. So I'm just going to hover over the arm rifles there. I'll zoom in on it a bit as well. So the reason I want to show that is look at the cohesion. It's already gone. So they're engaging on these 2 squads, and their cohesion dropped so quickly because they're only trained, and this is the issue for the British 1st Armoured on this map. It's because they don't have a lot of infantry, and because you tend to rank it down as a result, they really can't fight off things like the aeromobiles here, unless they simply overwhelm them. You fall back on relying on your tanks as the 1st British to do that damage, and to do, you know, the stunning and the stress and everything else, and tanks take time, you know, and then you have to not lose them. So you need to build up that big tank force. But obviously holding Alpha as the 1st British is very difficult on this map, because it's all infantry. I see the Fox going around the back here. So this is perhaps the other way to do this map for Toff as the 1st British Armoured, is take Foxtrot and then take Bravo. And then apply pressure from all around this, and then if you can fire in with tanks or warriors and things from all around the outside into the buildings, and utilize your bombers, because that's what those bombers are good at, they're HE bombers, and just bomb the infantry in Alpha into submission. But you need the control of the area around Alpha if your opponent's in there, to stop them getting reinforcements in easily. Easier said than done, you know. I'm talking about the ideal situation, and that doesn't happen very often. But obviously the infantry that Mix can field here is very strong compared to what Toff can bring in. You see here a little bit of Gazelle cannon swarming to come in and clear up units. They will avoid the Javelin, they will avoid the tracked Rapier. Chieftain is scary here for Mix. Obviously there's a Milan there, but that's it. That's all that's there to deal with that Chieftain at the moment. The ERC 90 coming in. But the thing that Toff will have issue with right now is that he doesn't have map control, and he obviously lost a lot of those initial infantry to those aeromobiles, which is still looking pretty good. And then the airplay game. Oh, the Milan there got a nice hit on the tracked Rapier. Not ideal. It means that there's less AA over this side, and if Mix is paying attention, he can utilise that to bring in his aircraft and stuff more. Speaking of, Mirage 2000 coming in there. Going for the Gazelle. Lots of ERC 90s coming in now. Obviously, Milan 2 power there, firing out at the Chieftain. Mirage coming around for another pass. Nice strafing runs here. Good hit from the Javelin LML though. It's important for the Javelin to get little hits like that. It scares these jets off. Obviously, he is about to get overwhelmed here though. Jaguar HE Bomber, Tornado in as well. Lots of reinforcements coming into Alpha now. But while obviously all those reinforcements are coming into Alpha, Foxtrot is going to fall. I'm just spinning us all the way around because I want to have a look at it from Mix's side of the map here. Obviously, he has total control right now of Alpha. He's got no real control over here in Charlie in the lumber mill. I mean, obviously you can see these assault pioneers are all the way in there. It's really just the Chasseur's powers protecting that. And even then, it's not a lot, so Toff could potentially take that. Toff needs to make good use of his fire support here, keeping the Warrior Milans at range like this, and firing in at those Chasseur's powers. Jaguar HE bomber coming in here. Doesn't actually drop its payload and veers off. At least I don't think it dropped its payload. Oh, it did. That was weird. Mirage, you see, able to operate right over the other side of the map. Getting engaged now by the Tornado. Tornado gets a good kill, that's important. But this Tornado needs not to die now. It needs to get out the map. Because here's another Mirage coming in for it. Another Tornado is in. They're engaging each other. Can it get another kill? Tornado's gone a bit deep. The other Tornado is in. Doesn't get the hit. Can it get the hit before it evacs? No, it's going to be out. So important for Toff now that he keeps these Tornadoes alive. This is a rough old fight here. If I zoom in, can you see again that the rifles here are all low cohesion? I think there's that one arm rifle squad there that aren't low cohesion yet. But look at the damage output from the Warriors. They're making all the difference being able to fire in at the buildings. So the rifles may be struggling to hit because they're stressed out. And then, you know, they're almost dead. But those Warriors really, really help put down all that supporting fire. Tornado coming in there. Did lose another Jaguar HE bomber. And this is one of those difficult things when you're playing as First Armoured. When do you start bringing in the bombers? Do you risk losing them? Do you wait till you know you have air control? At the moment, it is not looking good over here, though, at this side of the map, near Foxtrot, for Toff, because it's simply the case that Mix 90 has surrounded this area. And there isn't enough tanks from Toff's side at the moment to retain control. Because obviously Toff's tanks are scary. To an infantry-based airborne division, mass tanks is scary. Because those ERC 90s just pop. They're like little soft balloon tanks. At the same time, you need lots of chieftains, at least, to be dishing out the damage. Toff's not doing too badly here, but look at his rifles. They're all mashed to pieces. They're all panicked. They can't fight anymore. And the Warrior Milans are dead. And the longer the game goes on, the more Milans Mix is able to get set up to put pressure on the chieftains. And any other tanks that come in. But this is great. Bedford supply truck in now in Alpha, which is regenning these infantry. It'll take a while for them to calm down, though. That's the scary thing. They'll be these ERC 90s easily dealt with, I would hope. Yeah, one down straight away. The other one smoked. There's a jet in at the moment for Mix. Back here, again, there's nothing in here. There is these assault pioneers. That rover command is going to be heading towards Alpha, I think. It's only going to contest the point. Currently, a +4 is a very nice number to have on this map. Mix is looking pretty good right now. We've discussed it multiple times on these maps, the dual maps, where you've got low points. It's so important to get points early, and if you can then hold. And, you know, forward deployment based divisions are good at that. Another loss of a tornado there. Very unfortunate. That's 2 tornadoes down. I believe there's still 2 alive in that case, or 2 available. But that really has dampened down the potential for any air superiority for Toff. And it was always going to be an uphill battle, because he didn't have the numbers. You just got to catch your opponent out in that situation. But Mix is looking pretty good. He's spread all across the map. He's not really had to contest anything in Charlie, obviously. And he's just pushing his front line forward while getting into a real grinding fight in Alpha here. I mean, the infantry are just crashing against each other. But in terms of infantry on infantry combat, Mix has already won that. Tornado HE coming in there. Does drop on the aeromobiles by the looks of it. Hopefully gets a kill. Doesn't manage to kill the command though. But the HE goes down. The Tornado HE does go down as well. Just having a little look here. Some Assault Pioneers coming up there are deploying early. Fantastic. These guys have gone into a building there. It could be that Toff is now thinking about sending a command in there and things. Over at this side, Arm Rifles, SAS Patrol pushing up over open ground here. Risky. ERCs are pushing up against them. This Chieftain would be scary to these, but needs to be careful. There's a Milan there, and its range is pretty big. And there's a Milan there, and its range is even closer. It's not bigger, but it's closer to the tank. And you got the Milan over there as well. So yeah, as soon as it's in range of those, that Milan's also in range. Oh, and that's a nasty hit. That is a very nasty hit. It does have the Milan too. Good kill over here, though. Yeah, C90 goes down. Aeromobile's getting killed over here. I mean, there's a lot of red in here, and it is moving. But again, you can see the arm rifles, they're flashing red. The rifles in there, they're flashing red. That cohesion loss is very nasty for any unit. Infantry, tanks, it doesn't matter. Once they lost the cohesion, they just start missing. And that is the advantage of having these ranked up infantry in this town fight. Like these guys over here, obviously Legionnaires Paras versus these rifles. I think this is a really good example. They've got 3 units left, they've got 4 units left, but cohesion is so-so. Cohesion is low. That's like veering on normal constantly between normal and mediocre. Interestingly, the Legionaries are actually losing this fight. Even though they are elite, they're low cohesion. This is actually a big surprise. Just having a look at them. I would have expected the Legionaries to win this, but I'm actually quite impressed that the rifles are holding out. Is this the turning point? There's 1 of those left. There's 2 of those left. I mean, this machine gun... they have 2 machine guns. That makes a huge difference right now. 1 machine gun versus 2 is a big difference. The machine guns, the light support weapons are amazing at the moment. I'm hearing stuff die behind me. I'm just so focused on this fight. The Sapu's Paras have ruined it. Oh, and there's a surrender. Sapu's Paras came in and ruined that for me. That was a rough game, Toff. That was a very rough game. Mix was on top of his positioning there. And obviously there was just a lot of deaths at the end. You could see on the side of the screen. And Mix just had control of the map. Kills to losses. Obviously Mix was ahead. Wasn't horrendous though. Yeah, this Mirage got lots of kills. And this was the thing. He was doing such a good job of keeping the Mirages alive. Aeromobiles there did well. And again, the Aeromobiles in Alpha were doing an amazing job. Yeah, there's like plenty of kills on Warrior Milans as well as the other thing. So all that fire support ceasing to exist because of the Milans. Javelin LML's got plenty of kills. Jaguar HE did a good job. Chieftain wasn't doing bad. I mean, look how easily it was taking out those ERC 90s. The problem was there weren't enough chieftains in that fight. Yeah, it was a rough one. That was a rough one. Let's have a quick look through here. Obviously, there were periods where Toff really picked up in kills. Tornadoes and things certainly helping, and a little bit of clearing up there as well. Towards the end, just obviously a lot of deaths, and at that point Mix had the map control, which made all the difference. Commiserations, Toff, but congratulations to Mix, who goes through to the final against T-Man, which will be being played in early January. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. I hope, again, you all had a fantastic Christmas, and I'll see you all soon for some more Warno.